Welcome to the shop. My name is Greg Kowalski. In this video, we're going to check out the Syil X5 epoxy granite. We'll take a brief look at the controls. I'll show you the inside. We'll walk around the outside of the machine and show you all the features of it. So I hope you stick around, and thanks for tuning in. So we got the Syntec 22MA CNC control. Got USB ports here on the side. All these F buttons here control the various menu functions. Full color screen, numeric and alphanumeric keypads. And then we have some navigation buttons here on this side. Then down here we have rapids and travel of the table, spindle control, flood coolant, ATC control. So a little bit down lower here on the control, we have some knobs and buttons. We have your feed rate override, spindle speed override, and rapids. Rapid speeds 0 to 100 in 25% increments. Then e-stop, feed hold, cycle start, and then these are machine on and off. And there's also, comes with MPG pendant that controls X, Y, Z, and then if you have a fourth axis, you can control that as well. So inside we have a 16-tool servo-driven ATC that's mechanically operated and a mechanical drawbar. So there are no air requirements for the ATC. And there are air requirements for the spindle, just for an air curtain and blowing out the taper on the inside anytime there's a tool change. So there's also air blast control for cutting at the tool, along with flood coolant. So right here on the front of the machine, next to the control panel, we have the door. The door is heavy duty steel door on linear bearings with safety glass. I'm assuming it's safety glass windows, so those don't scratch. Always remain clear. And then we have the 16-tool ATC, and let me zoom you in so you can see a little bit better on the inside. So on the inside of the machine, we have actually quite a big space for a compact machine. The table size is 22.8 in the X. And the travel on the X is 11.8 inches. The Y size of the table is 10.2, and the travel is also 10.2. The Z, there's about 18.5 inches from the spindle to the table, and the travel is 11.8. And the Z does not come all the way down to the table, so that's the full extent of travel for the Z axis right there. The spindle is a 20,000 RPM spindle. It's 7.5 horsepower continuous and 10 horsepower peak. So that 10 horsepower is rated at 30-minute load duration, so quite a bit for 10 horsepower. And I'll plop up some graphs of the power and torque curves. Here on the side of the machine we have an access panel, so I'll take that off with an Allen wrench, a couple quarter turn latches on the side, and this just lifts off. It's pretty heavy duty. Another safety glass panel in there. And then this gives us access to the inside of the machine, and then also you're able to change out tools. So there's a clearance notch in the back of the ATC, allows you to change out tools that aren't in the spindle. The door just fits in these notches once you get it lined up, and then just another quarter turn to lock these. in place, and it doesn't leak at any of these seams. The coolant is channeled away from the seam, so I'm not getting any leaking. On this side of the door, there is the coolant lines. I added in some fittings, a couple ball valves, stainless steel ball valves and couplers, and this hose as a washdown system. So this is real nice add-in that I did to be able to clean out the machine and get things washed down. I will link down in the description below links to all those fittings if you wanted to add in something similar on your machine. But yeah, I think maybe less than $60 and added all this in there, and it seems to work really well. The coolant pump is definitely has enough pressure to blast away all those chips. On the back of the machine is the electrical cabinet. The electrical cabinet has the made circuit breaker for the cabinet and a couple of keys to lock the back of the cabinet, and I'll open that up here. So the back of the cabinet is sealed all the way around, keep out dust. And we have the cabinet cooler, the circuit breaker here. We have the 3-phase power going in. Here's some wiring, servos, and all the wiring connections, very neat. And down below the electrical cabinet is the coolant reservoir. We got the high pressure coolant pump. This hose leads out to the fittings we just showed you. I added in a oil skimmer, so I have that running. There's 2 chip tray bins here that are removable, and they do have some screens in them for coarse filtering, but I added in a finer mesh screen to keep chips out of the coolant. I believe the coolant tank is about a 16-gallon tank, so it's a decent size. On either side of the pump, we have the chutes, the chip chutes that dump out into the chip trays. And then above the pump, we have the Y-axis servo. And then get a look inside there. The linear bearings and the epoxy granite frame. Also can see the top of the back side of the way covers. Now moving around the left side of the machine from the back, from the electrical cabinet, we have the cabinet cooler, and then this panel is all the air regulators and air filters. And then below that we have the oil, automatic oil, way oil pump. So next to the air panel is another side access panel that's identical to the other side, so that gives you nice access to the inside of the machine. And then that brings us back to the front of the machine. Okay, so up here on top of the machine we have access panels to get to anything you would ever need to on top of the machine. We have a status light indicator, which does fold down. So it's got red, yellow, and green. Green obviously is running, yellow is standby, red if there's some sort of issue or fault set. And then here we have the spindle motor and the Z-axis servo back there, energy chain. Here's another view of the Z-axis servo. And 2 energy chains. The epoxy granite casting and heavy support arms for the ATC and drawbar mechanisms. So for clearance around the machine, I believe I followed what the manual shows, but I believe I have, let's see, about 25 inches from the left side of the machine to the wall. And this side has the access to air filters, oil, and access to this door. And then around the back side need a clearance of, I have 27 inches, which you need for the doors, having the doors open. So, and access to pulling out the coolant tray and cleaning out the chip bins. I'll show you powering on the machine. It's a pretty simple process, but I'll flip you around and show you that. So here's my on-off breaker, on-off switch. It's not a breaker. I'll flip this on, which will give us the 220 volt 3-phase to the transformer. And once the transformer is on reading an output, I'll come over to the back of the machine and turn on the breaker. So once the breaker's on, the fans will start coming on. Then we got to come up to the control panel and hit the on. That will boot up the menus. And that will boot up the Syntec 22MA as it loads. This takes a couple minutes. Well, not a couple minutes, probably 30 seconds or so. So it gives us a warning that never detected a tool number, serial, and the E-stop is depressed. So I think it's just the E-stop that's causing both those errors. Once the E-stop is released, it clears those errors. So let's do that. So that error's gone. And the machine's up and running. Then I'll do a warm-up routine depending on how long the machine's been off for the spindle and for the axes. So that is a high-level overview and walk around of the Syil X5. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, leave me a message down in the comments below. And thanks for watching.